All right, folks, we're in public comment. Good evening.
Hi, Tara Miles, 11 Lancaster Drive. While I usually start my comments by thanking the council, today I'd like to start by thanking Londonderry's first responders, and in particular our fire department. Thank you for day in and day out caring and taking care of our community, putting your lives on the line for us and protecting us. You're the heroes of our community, and you deserve dignity, protection, support, and respect. Next, I'd like to thank their families, their children, wives, husbands, moms, dads, and extended families. You too sacrifice for our community, the long hours, missed holidays, and accepting the risk your loved one makes every day to serve, and so much more. Thank you to the community members who, like me, are here today to support our fire department. And finally, thank you, Chairperson Franz and council members, for not only listening to us, but really hearing us tonight. As you know, I've long supported the council and Town Manager Malgudi. I've stood at the same podium when other folks have been here to tear you down. But my support is not unconditional, and it is not without accountability. I support you today because I believe you seek to do the right thing. And like me, you don't always get it right. But also like me, I hope when you don't get it right, you endeavor to make it right. It is a bizarre day when I'm here agreeing with John Esposito on something, but here we are, and here you have brought us. So sit with that for a second. You know, our firefighters don't just put their lives on the line for us. They endure incredible tragedies while serving our community. They are the first ones on the scene when the absolute worst has happened, and they don't get to step back and grieve it. They stand up, they act, they go to work to ensure the best possible outcomes for everyone involved. It would be in poor taste both to the firefighters and to the families involved to list out all of those notable incidents that have happened over the past couple of years, but I'm sure each of you, having been here for a long time, know many of them, and they're sad. And as I said before, you know, our firefighters deserve respect, dignity, protection, and support, and today that looks like appropriate staffing, and when not achievable, through normal scheduling, overtime. We need to fully staff our fire department at all times and at a level based on our call volume, population, and other factors like our proximity to the highway and the considerable population of seniors in our community. We should look to our fire department and the National Firefighters Union to understand what that looks like. You are not the experts in this, they are. I read your statement and I was mad. So I gave it a couple days and I read it again as I sought to understand how I can support our firefighters. And when I read it again, I realized what a total misfire it was. When I read it, I realized that it spoke about you, what you have done for the fire department. It didn't address their concerns, but sought to excuse it away and quell the justified community outrage. It sought to position you as the heroes of funding, but it didn't address the budget shortfall we face today, and we face in fully supporting our fire department. This isn't politics, this is public safety. This isn't a campaign, and this isn't about you. This is about the men and women of our fire department and ensuring they have the means to serve our community, to ensure that after a particularly tough call, they're able to take the time for themselves, their mental and physical health, without worrying that taking that time that they may need away means their fellow firefighters are understaffed and at risk. Or that they must go in for their next shift because, well, the department just can't have more overtime. When you characterize overtime as excessive, you create an environment where those who need time away can't take it. You directly impact our hero firefighters and you directly impact their families. It lacks the empathy required to ensure that we have folks prepared both physically and mentally to serve our community. In almost any other public service field, these folks would strike. They would demand their needs. But firefighters can't do that, and they wouldn't do that. They know that that not only puts their community at risk, but their brother and sister firefighters. They are the heroes of our community. So do the right thing. Do more. Yesterday, we had to ask Derry 6 times for mutual aid with 12 of 13 firefighters. Do the right thing. Find the money. Whatever it is in your power to do, do it. If that takes furloughing administrative employees, do it. If that means raising more money, do it. If it means the town manager doesn't get fresh paint and new carpeting, well, that ship has already sailed, so looks great though.
Tara,
Do it.
You have 30 seconds left.
Sure.
Thank you.
Take care of our heroes. Chairman Franz, you're a veteran. You know what it takes to serve our community, so please do it. Thank you for hearing me out, and thank you to Londonderry Fire Department and all the heroes. Thanks for serving our community.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay England, and I reside at 41 Royal Lane in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I stand before you tonight as a lifelong resident of Londonderry, an elementary teacher in our school district, and the proud sister of a Londonderry fireman, like England. Like many of you, I was deeply saddened to hear of Chief Bo Butler's resignation. His decision reflects the untenable choice that he faced: either compromise the safety of his firefighters or sacrifice his own position. By resigning, Chief Butler made a powerful statement. He refused to jeopardize his crew's lives or safety to satisfy a budget. As someone who grew up in this town and now teaches in one of our elementary schools, I've seen firsthand how close-knit the members of our fire department are. My brother Michael has served with the Londonderry Fire Department full-time for 9 years, and as a call firefighter before that. I've witnessed how selflessly these men and women risk their lives for ours. Over the past year alone, they have responded to a range of extraordinary emergencies, from a car crashing into a river to a well-known plane crash, along with countless critical medical and fire incidents. These are individuals who embody bravery and sacrifice, and as a family member, I feel the weight of that every day. I've heard the stories of my brother pulling a victim from a submerged vehicle with only a rope securing him as water surged around him after his equipment failed. He saved that man's life and his crew's. He was also able to come home that night to his wife and children. I also heard details of how Mike entered a smoke-filled cockpit covered in jet fuel to cut a pilot out of his seat and push him to safety. All the while, he knew his wife and 2 young children were waiting for him at home. When I asked why he puts himself in these life-threatening situations, he told me, because I know my brothers, my fellow firefighters, will have my back. Firefighters understand the risks they inherent to their job. They accept those risks willingly. What they should never have to accept is operating with reduced manpower due to budget shortfalls. These men and women sacrifice their physical and mental well-being for our safety every single day. The least we can do is ensure that they are properly staffed, as the town already voted to do so. Our priorities as the Londonderry community must be reflected in our budget. The safety of our citizens and those who protect us should be at the top of the list. To the members of this council, I urge you to reflect on the decision that Chief Butler was forced to make. I urge you to properly prioritize the health and safety of not only our firefighters and first responders, but also the citizens they protect by ensuring that the department is adequately staffed. Provide our firefighters with the manpower and resources they need to perform their duties safely for themselves and for the community they're sworn to protect. As this town continues to grow, the stakes are higher than ever, and the need for adequate staffing in our fire department becomes even more critical to ensure the safety of both our first responders and the citizens they protect. First responders are the backbone of public safety. They are the ones pulling people out of burning buildings, rescuing victims from car wrecks, and providing critical care in medical emergencies. How can their safety be treated as a mere line item in a budget? Our priorities should reflect in our budget, and if you ask me, the lives of our citizens and first responders should be at the very top of that priority list. They are not just Londonderry firemen, but they are also husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, and in this case, my older brother. As I mentioned, my brother knows his crew will always have his back. And their goal is not only to save lives, but to make sure every member of their team comes home safely to their families. This is what's at stake. The number on a firefighter's helmet is not just a line item in a budget. It is a badge of honor, a symbol of their courage, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to serve and protect. Their value cannot be calculated in dollars and cents. It is measured in the lives that they save. Thank you to the Town Council for your time. And thank you, Chief Butler, for your leadership in putting the safety of my brother and his fellow firefighters above all else. I commend your courage, and I hope the entire town understands who you stood up for by stepping down. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Dr. David E. Walker, 5 Harvest Moon Road, Londonderry. I am an outraged citizen. My family chose to retire here 5 years ago because of the reputation of the Londonderry Fire Department and not being a volunteer fire department. Did not we vote 70% of the vote to fund the police department, to fund the fire department in the last election? Why are we here discussing firefighters and the community support when the community clearly has shown that support in their vote?
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. John Grennan, 14 Jewel Court. I came tonight. I normally don't come to these. I've probably come to 4 or 5 of these in 18 years, and I'm coming because of what I saw here at the last meeting. And I think it's incredibly embarrassing for this community, what occurred here at the hands of our local government. And it's tragic what occurred here for our fire chief. It really is. If the price of gas went up because of some global catastrophe and it was over the budget, would we stop buying gas? Or would you find more money to buy gas? You'd find more money to buy gas. This fire department is understaffed. By national standard, they are not staffed appropriately. That's number one. Number two, the citizens in this community want this fire department staffed to at least 13, and they are not. And we put the fire chief in an impossible position to make a decision to put his members at risk. That's what we did. That's what you did. He didn't do it. You did. The buck stops here. You manage the budget, you manage the community, and you manage the town. And that's the position we put this young man in. A man who grew up here, a man who gave his life for this town, whose family was politically active in this community. What did we do? We're on Channel 7 in Boston because we can't support our fire department. What does that make us look like here? What does that make our property value look like here? I mean, that's really, but that's not what's important here. These people in the back of the room, we're putting them at risk. When I moved here, they had 2 people on an engine. It's like riding a horse backwards. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now we have 2 or 3 people, and that's ridiculous too. See, I live on this side of Londonderry over here, so next to me is Litchfield. The Litchfield Fire Department doesn't have an ambulance. The Litchfield Fire Department doesn't have a ladder truck. I don't even know if they have water. So I live over there, and I'm 52 and could probably use to lose 30 pounds, so I'm getting concerned. And then I find out that yesterday Wyndham's here, and Bedford's here, and Derry's here. What's going on? You people run this town. We have a $17 million wage allotment, and this man bumped into $250,000. That's 1.3% of our overall wages from 2023. You guys couldn't address 1.3%? You couldn't come up with that? I mean, I know I'm not going to get an answer here tonight, but we sacrificed this young man. That's what we did. We looked terrible, and everybody should be ashamed that he had to make the decision that he made on behalf of his members and on behalf of the residents in this community. But make no bones about it, guys. We are not protected to the level that we should be protected. And when I call 911 for an ambulance, I'm going to wait. And you know what? Time and medicine and electricity and medication and trying to get to one of these hospitals, someone's going to die. But I'm less concerned about me, and I'm far more concerned about these people who we made a deal with. We made a deal with those guys, too. That when we call at 3 o'clock in the morning and there's an emergency, they show up. They put themselves at risk and they show up. That's the deal you made. You guys ran. You guys said, vote for me. You had your coffee hours. We voted for you. And then this is what occurred. And I'm as mad, I think, as a lot of people in town are. And I'm even madder at the statement that came out. It was like 50% direct bargaining with the membership.
Excuse me, John.
And 50% directly to the town.
Can you focus your comments to me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
It's difficult to focus the comments to you because, point of order, the town manager just corrected the woman before.
I understand that.
Okay. So that statement came out, and we started arguing about an HR issue publicly. Now, there have been other HR issues in this community, some involving people who were terminated for town hall. And when people ask questions, it was an HR issue. We don't talk about it. But the Bo Butler issue makes Channel 7 news in Boston, and the town puts a statement out 48 hours later. Is that even remotely responsible?
John, you have 30 seconds.
Or was that fair to him? No. It was not. I will end with this. You ran. This is your position. You're putting these kids in the back of the room at risk. And if we were off by $250,000 on a $17 million line item and you didn't see that coming, you guys got a problem. Somebody should have stepped in and told these people, we're going to give you the money you need. And you have opened Pandora's box in this town. That's what's happened here. So I'll be the first one to say it shouldn't have to be a warrant article for 15 or 16 people. It should be somebody stepping up and saying, we're going to protect these people at the back of the room and those people over there. Thanks for your time.
My name is Susan Delisandro. I live at 459 Mammoth Road. I've never spoken at one of these, so excuse me, I get really nervous. But I just wanted to come here and voice my support for our fire department. I'm really quite beside myself. I live on Mammoth Road. The amount of sirens, engines, ambulances that we have going by our house on a daily basis has gone up considerably. The amount of serious incidents that they're attending to has gone up significantly. If we cannot support and staff our department in a level that is going to protect them, what the heck are we doing as a town? There's a cost to everything. There is a cost to being understaffed. Are you willing to pay that debt? There's a cost to mutual aid. What are we paying other towns to come and support us? Has that been calculated into the budget decision when this was carelessly made? I don't have family on the department here, but I do know that they would go out of their way for my family. I do have lots of family in fire service, in police service, in all sorts of other towns. I know what they go through on a daily basis. I know what it means for them to be understaffed. It puts them at such higher risk. They're already taking an incredible risk in their job. To leave them in a position where potentially they're doing a job without the right resources or incredibly emotionally and physically drained because they haven't had proper time to recover, unable to take time off like other people have addressed. It is not just fiscally irresponsible, but it is irresponsible as a town. The residents here voted. It was probably one of the highest supported measures I've seen our town come to. It was obviously very highly supported that we staff them at a proper level. And for our budget committee, and I apologize again if I'm speaking incorrect, but for our budget committee to just decide that this isn't important enough, it does not make sense. It does not show you that you support the residents and what our needs and wants are. It's not just our fire department that you're putting in jeopardy. It's the residents of this town as well that they're here to support. And I truly, truly hope that the comments here today cause you to reconsider. I know for a fact in the 20 years that I've been in this town, you guys have found the budget for many projects that I did not deem to be at a high level of importance. And I've supported the town. I've paid our taxes. This benefits every single citizen of the town, and more importantly, it protects those that are protecting us and protecting you. So find the money. Like, that's the bottom line. This is not something that can be negotiated. It's not a level that is able to be upkept. And I, again, appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, councilors. I'm Ellen Brito, 19 Severance Drive in Londonderry. So I just want to voice that it's very disconcerting to me that yet another valued town of Londonderry employee has left their job for reasons that we always seem to not get the full story on. This one, maybe, a little bit more, but for Chief Butler to resign because he felt he was going to be putting his staff at risk, and if he was concerned about that, we should be very concerned. The men and women of the fire department are the people we depend on. I had an emergency at my home less than 30 days ago. They were there in 4 minutes, put myself at ease, took care of my brother, and you can't put a price on that. You cannot put a price on knowing these men and women are going to show up when I need them. So I'm just asking you that they deserve adequate staffing. They deserve our support. They deserve a chief like Chief Butler. I would hope that maybe the ship hasn't sailed and maybe you can find it to get him to come back. And that's all I want to say. Please work on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brittany Bonvie. I live at 91 Rockingham Road. I just wanted to come up here and ask if any of you on the council can inform me as to how collectively as a community all these people that live here, reside here, and went out and voted. I just want an answer as to how we voted such a positive to helping the men and women that protect us and why that got stripped away from them. Does anybody have an answer for me for how that works or how that comes into play? Did my vote not exist? Did it get taken away?
So we don't have question and answer during public comment. It's an opportunity for the public to
I know, but
comment.
we're all here. Like we all have everybody in here, and they want to know the same answer that I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to find out like eventually, or does it not matter that we vote?
The votes matter.
Well, that's how you guys got in your positions. We voted
We
you in.
We have our first budget workshop November 2nd where we discuss the budget and the process. That will be the time that this will come up. We don't typically have a question and answer for that, so this is for the public to comment.
I think your question is an important one, and I want to hear from everybody here tonight and just try to formulate and think about. Like I'm taking this in. I realize there's a community full of people who all of this is very important to. So I don't want to step over the top of anything anyone else is going to say, but I do think people deserve answers to questions. So I'm going to try to formulate all that.
I appreciate that.
But I want to hear from everyone.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. And I just come here to support them. Obviously, in my family, I support them as well. Local on my shirt, local that I live in this community. And obviously, I have other people that live in other communities, and we do have to ask aid from Bedford or Hudson or Wyndham. It puts a strain on their department. So it's like, where can we be able to pull from the surplus that we do have here to give to the fire department that we did vote in? That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Richard Jacobsmeyer. I lived at 60 Alexander Road. I speak on behalf of Chief Butler and his men and women because I know what it's like to be family. I was a 35-year firefighter in the city of Everett. I've only lived here for 9 years. I know I'm a relative newcomer. I was diagnosed with cancer 2 years before I retired. Spent that time disabled on the job. When I decided with my doctors I would never be healthy enough to do the job again, I retired. But those brothers and sisters drive up here from Massachusetts and take me to the Dana-Farber a couple of times a month. That's what this brotherhood is. And when a man like Bo Butler stands up for his people, you need to take and understand what he's doing. That's the first issue. The second issue, do I understand you're a veteran?
Yes, sir.
I assume there's a lot more veterans in this room. I'm a veteran. My father, my grandfather, my uncle. I come from a long family of veterans. And I take my right to vote extremely seriously. When I walked into that gymnasium across the street, I had 21 staples in my neck from my latest surgery 6 days prior. But I made it there to vote. And I believe my vote counts. And when 70% of the people vote for something and it does not happen, somebody needs to answer to us. You won't do it tonight, but you can't hide behind the ballot box. And I'm so upset right now with this because I take my right to vote so seriously. I never miss a vote. And when I vote, I expect it to be adhered to by the community that I'm voting in. Remember that at the ballot box.
Good evening.
Hi, Chad. Good evening. My name's Dave Plaza, 207 Pillsbury. I'm here as a resident, not a member of the Budget Committee. A couple things that, dealing with fire department, police department in the past. When we were building the old firehouse, the new firehouse, I always used to tell Chief O'Brien and talk to him about it and said, hey, how's the budget going? He says, yeah, we might be a couple $100,000 over, 300, whatever. Every time I heard that, I always told him, spend the money. Do it right. Build that building right because safety is first. Okay? Number two, we have this thing called the undesignated fund balance, $6 to $7 million, I do believe, right now. Last year, we had a town surplus of $600,000. Why are we talking about $250?
That's what I said.
And finally, to the police department and fire department, thank you for all the times you've come to my house and helped us out.
Erin Westling, 10 Hazelnut Lane. I haven't prepared anything, but I'm a 23-year emergency room nurse, level 1 trauma. Some of the most trusted friends and people that I know are the firefighters that bring patients into the emergency departments that I've cared for. The tragedies that they've seen, the things that they have been experienced in homes, on sides of highways where I've stopped to render care before somebody else comes along to help them. Most of us will never ever know what they see. But I can tell you that taking the staff away from them is going to cause more people to experience burnout. It's going to cause less people in our town that want to provide care for our citizens. I'm so disappointed in what this town wants to do. We want to increase the amount of people that we're bringing into Londonderry to live here at Woodmont and everything else. How do you expect 11 firefighters on a crew to take care of an entire town that you want to bring more people into? It's absolutely appalling. I hope that there's a fix for all of this. I applaud Chief Butler, and I honestly put all my support behind the firefighters. I think this is just such a tragedy.
Hello, my name is Melissa Keys, and I reside at 312 Mammoth Road here in Londonderry, right up the street. There has been a significant increase in first responders. And then on top of it, reading the local newspapers, a new mental health hospital coming in. A few people, I think Sean voted to wait. And a few others. I've met Sean before. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. There are a few other people who I should be crediting. to wait and get what we want from those developers who are going to take, so that we have the money to take care of our community, our first responders, our firefighters, our police officers. Bo Butler also said something about it in the paper, and along the lines of, they say it's going to be one extra call, but from experience, probably more like 12 to 15 on the first day is what he said. And then today, and then to hear about the resignation, are we not listening? Are we not listening to what the people who take care of us need? Can we slow down and listen to what they need and what we need? And then on top of it, 250 rental properties being developed on Pillsbury right up the road. I see that front page paper. I see all these new developments that look like they're going to be very profitable for someone. But if they're not profitable for us and we're not putting that money back into the firefighters, the police, the schools, what are we doing? Who's profiting? What are we building? That's it. Thank you. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I know it's late, but thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, my name's Kelly Savan. I live at 3 King Edward Drive. I haven't done this before either, so I am a little nervous, even though I do public speaking for a living, so it's a little odd that my voice is being like this. I have lived almost 17 years in Londonderry. Before that, I grew up in Litchfield and had a short time in Massachusetts. My husband and I moved back here because of the small town feel, the support that we have in the education system and in the public response, in the public service. I voted last election for support of the police department and the fire department. And I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old. And it's very difficult to see the amount of suicides that we have seen increase in town among teens and the mental health crisis that we've been seeing as well. And so my children have had to deal with that. I've had to deal with it. And I would hate to see that we don't have the support that we need from public response if those continue to happen, which, of course, there's many things that we need to do to stop that from happening in the begin with. But I just want to voice my support for them, and I will continue to vote in the election to support our fire department, our police department, and any other service department. And I will continue to vote against town officials that do not support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Tom Newman, resident 14 Gary Drive. I'll keep this short and sweet. I hate politics more than I hate public speaking. But my point here is everyone who's already spoken tonight did an absolutely incredible job of not only explaining what the people want and why they want it, how much the fire department means to this town. I grew up in this town, and now I'm lucky enough to call this town my hometown again, raising my family here. And if there's one department in this entire state that I trust to respond to my house for my family when I'm on shift as a full-time firefighter in another town, it's the Londonderry Fire Department. The men and women in the Londonderry Fire Department respond to every single type of call that you can imagine. 3 a.m., raining, snow, Christmas, it does not matter. The point is, there is no rhyme or reason to when calls come in. Staffing is what matters. So to someone who doesn't understand the fire department, 13 to 12 may not seem like a big deal. What most people don't realize is how many people it takes to run one average medical call, let alone a cardiac arrest, a severe trauma on the highway, a technical rescue in an embankment in the river. It doesn't matter. Staffing is what matters. 15 would be a good start, not 13. The town wants 13. Give them 13. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Laurel Lynn Jurgens, and I live at 8 Kimball Road, and have been a resident of Londonderry for 34 years. I completely thought that this whole staffing was resolved last March when we voted overwhelmingly 70% to staff the fire department. 7 months later, come to find out, our beloved chief resigned, and here we are fighting for them to be fully staffed at 13. I'm so disappointed in every single one of you that you're not doing your job. You got to do your job. You got to make it happen, and we got to staff the fire department and support them. As a community, we need them. They have our backs, and we need to have theirs. And that's it.
Anyone else? Good evening.
Daniel Bouchard, 8 O'Connell Drive, Londonderry. I'm going to address my comments to the vice chair because last time we had a meeting here, questions were asked if you guys knew about this letter. All right. Sean wasn't here. Ted said you didn't. Ron said you didn't. John Farrell said you didn't. The chair never responded. Okay. I will tell you that I've been a resident of Londonderry for over 40 years, and it's a bottom line budget. Okay. It doesn't matter. You can go through your whole budget process and you can say, you know what? We want to cut this. We want to cut that. You got a bottom line budget. People in town supported 13 firefighters. Last meeting, you saw all the firefighters in support of their chief who resigned. Okay? Sean, you weren't here. You weren't aware. You weren't aware of what was going on. The chair was aware of what was going on. Let me explain something. Something came out about a letter. And my understanding, because I've done some digging, all right, is that the chair and the town manager were involved in this meeting with our fire chief. I don't know how that's possible when you're looking at disciplinary actions, because having worked in this town for a long time, and I know how bargaining units work, all right, if you're going to grieve something, there's a process where you grieve certain steps. You go to your town manager if you don't agree with it. If you don't agree with the town manager, it goes to the council. I don't understand how a member of the town council can be sitting with the town manager on a disciplinary issue with a department head, and then later on go ahead and sit, if that department head brought it forward, sit there and make an impartial decision. Okay? Something smells rotten about this whole situation. Okay? We should have never lost Chief Butler. Never. Okay? This should have never happened. The rest of the council should have been aware of what was going on. And I'm sad that that happened. I was really irritated when I read the letter from the town manager, you know, with his rebuttal. Always has to have a rebuttal. Okay? But I'll tell you what, when I read that rebuttal, town manager, the chair didn't provide us with all this stuff. The taxpayers did. The taxpayers are the one that paid, that wanted this stuff. We paid for it. Okay? So when you're looking at dairy coming over here all the time and all these other departments, you know, it should tell you something. Something is wrong here. We need to staff our personnel properly, whether it's the fire, whether it's the highway, whether it's the police. Okay? The last thing we need is some of our personnel getting hurt. Okay? And I hope that the town's going to get some answers. And I know, been here a long time, and it's always kick the can down the road, just ignore the people, it's going to go away. All right? It happened with the Gandy issue. All right? People ignored it and ignored it. All right? And you never got answers out of it. I'm hoping that we're going to get answers with this fire department. The fire department, police department, the highway department, all our public service, they need the support. It's a bottom line budget, okay? I read today in Facebook, all right, that, oh, look, we painted this room for the town manager and we gave him new flooring. To me, That's not being,
Dan, you have 30
responsible.
seconds.
That's not being responsible whatsoever with the town finances. Not when you're looking at a issue with the fire department. Allocate your money properly. All right? I don't see where flooring has a priority over supporting these gentlemen and these ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Tony, before you say anything, I just want to clarify some misinformation. I do. I wasn't part of any process prior.
I thought you couldn't answer
Yeah, I thought you can't answer questions.
It's the chair's prerogative. If the council wants to overrule me, then the council can.
All right.
So I just want to clarify, I was not part of any process prior. So to make an accusation that I wasn't fair.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Counselor. All right. Were you in the room with the town manager and the fire chief discussing a personnel issue concerning his a letter?
No.
I thought you can't answer questions.
Exactly.
Really? You're going to go there? All right. If that's the case, Chad, all right, and the way you've handled this, all right, I think instead of the chief resigning, I think you should resign.
Thank you for that.
Sorry, sir.
All right.
All right, been waiting for my moment. I want everybody to pay attention to what I'm about to say. I am Kim Bernard, and I am the president of LEEA, which is the department heads. To answer the question that you were put on the spot for by Mr. Bouchard, is quite simple. There was 4 people in this room when this took place. I was one of them, as the union president, representing my coworker and friend, Mr. Butler. So, there's all kinds of misguided facts that are put out there. I was there. I love Bo like a younger brother. I have known Bo since he was 16 years old, and I used to kick him out of the plateau. It's easy to point blame at the department heads. But I can tell you, managing the PD for just over 2.5 years, 3 budget processes, and years of homework on the budget process, there's enough blame to go around. Now, before anybody claps for me, you may not want to. So, budgetary responsibility is the sole responsibility of a department head. Plain and simple. I blow my budget tomorrow, I'm gone. That's the facts. It's the way it goes. It's in the law. I get fired tomorrow if I commit a crime. You may not like me. I may not do what you tell me. But as long as I come under budget, I'm good. The problem that we have here is that this default process has been in effect for going on 15 years. So what happens is this. I hate to give a lesson today, but where's Chris Schofield? Chris, union guys, I hear you. Hang tight with this. This is a 14-year problem. It's not a last year's problem. When we come to the budget process as department heads, it's our responsibility to present a budget to the budget committee, members of the town council, that we think are the needs for our agency in that fiscal year coming up. Our budget process started for us at the PD back in July. We're ready to go for Thursday when we meet with the finance director. I don't want to give all my secrets away, but I'm looking towards an increase of $300,000. And that's being conservative because that's what I do. The problem that I have is when I hear other people suggest that you just take it from somebody else. I want to share facts. Last year, during the budget freeze, I was not happy. My staff was not happy. We haven't increased staffing at the PD in 24 years. That's how long I've been here. We've provided the same exact staffing, 3 patrolmen on day shift. We figure it out. When 2010 happened, we had a reduction in staff. We went from 72 cops down to 64. We act like adults. We figure it out. We manage our budget. You manage your personnel. You got to be creative. You got to find ways to adapt, figure these things out. While the town does approve a budget line, you guys hear us, whether or not we present it in an accurate way. That's on us. I pride ourselves as the PD of the historical education that we received for years on end about proper budget management. We were always told, $1, you're out the door. I'm telling you, and I'm trying to share, these fellow department heads that run every department in town sacrificed last year. We did. DPW did. Public Works and Engineering did. Code Enforcement did. Art and Parks and Rec did. And I'm sure LFD did too. There is no easy fix. Well, everyone loves the word transparency, so I'll just say it. They want you to tell the truth until they want to hear it. I bet you we're about $2 million underfunded across the board. So if everybody here wants to say yes to $2 million, I'm going to go back. I'm going to scratch that $290,000. I'm going to blow that thing to where it should be.
Do it. Yeah.
Right? So the point that I want to emphasize is I think while this is all important to hear, I think it's important to understand why we got here. I know you didn't create this situation. This has been going on forever. I realize that some of you weren't here last year during the budget process. We're going to be here in November. You're going to hear from every department head. Is Fred or... No. So we're all going to be here. I'll speak for them. They'll be here. We're going to bring you a budget that's appropriate, that's reasonable, that the voters, as we're hearing today, that they want public safety fixed, right? But I just want you guys all to know that there's a cost when we go over. There's a cost when there is a freeze. We have to be creative as we did last February with that 6 months budget freeze. We had to be creative. I had to cancel training. I had to stop a shipment of guns that we were trying to replace. I stopped hiring processes for the 4 cops that we had in the background at the time. We eliminated other coverages with lieutenants covering down on extra shifts. We'd be creative when we had vacancies. If someone was out with a workman's comp issue, I would pull someone from a different assignment. We figure it out. We'll always figure it out. No matter what we are given, we have to figure it out. But I want you guys to know that this has been going on forever. This is not a last year's problem. This has been going on systemically for many, many, many years upon end. So while I agree with some of the things that were said, I don't agree with everything when it comes to what had taken place. And while we always talk about integrity, saying and doing the right things, and leadership and honor and leading and all these things, some of the things that have been said about what happened with Bo is not true. Bo and I were in the room. I won't get into specifics because I don't want to violate any privilege. I represented Bo. Bo was never threatened to be suspended for not reducing staffing. That was never said. I was there. And if you don't believe the police chief, I don't know who you're going to believe. I was there as the union president. There are situations that we all try to work through as department heads. We communicate with one another. We try to see what each other are looking to do. Would I love to put a carport and protect all the cruisers? Because now that's like around $1 million for 27 new cars. I would. Does it make sense? Probably not. Would we like to do an addition on the PD right now because we have no more locker space and we're at max capacity? I would, but I'm not. Because I know my fellow men and women that work over the DPW shed have been working in a rundown place since the 70s. They need something. So while I recognize that every department head up here has made sacrifices, I know that individually you guys all know that too. But not everybody else does. Not everyone knows that. Being a union president is very hard. It takes a lot of responsibility. It takes a lot of teamwork. It takes a lot of courage. But it also takes, the most important part is listening to your bosses too. Mike is my boss. You're all my boss. During the budget season, you are the only boss. And I will say this about Justin. I know a lot of people were angry with him last time. I am on a limb here by myself over a moat of alligators. This man will help any department head at any time. I've been there. I've been told no, we figure it out. I've been told wait, I wait. I've been told let's be creative, let's see what we can do. That's what we do as adults. That's what we do as responsible department heads. I think that this is so important and that it's unfortunate that it happened in the way that it did. But it needs to be said, and I think the time to do this is to take this energy that everyone is bringing today, convert it to the budget season as department heads with true numbers so we can give you massive migraines. And then, unfortunately, you're going to be the most hated man when you tell everybody that their taxes are going to go up to 22 something per thousand instead of the 1852 that it is, and then they're all going to hate you. But this is, I know what you're going to say, but then what do we do, right?
No,
So
it's just like we just keep building and building and building, and I've done a lot of research, and it does depend on what your age is and what you pay for taxes. And what bothers me is that some people that are on these committees don't even live in this town.
well, I can't speak on any of that, but what I can tell you is that from the department head standpoint, we're all going to get together, I'm sure, during the budget process. We'll put our heads together. I just want to say that I realize that there's a lot of unknown questions tonight, but you're going to have the cooperation from all department heads. We'll figure this out together, and I apologize for creating work, but I'll see you on Thursday. I believe everything is ready to go. If you guys have any questions for me about any of this, if not, I'm going to go sit back over there and take notes.
January 31st in the town manager's conference room.
Can you speak at the mic so that people
Can we hold on a second?
Well, we're gonna.
Can we hold on a second, please? I don't want to get in the back and forth. Chris. You don't want to get in the back.
That's fine. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna dispel. All right.
Chris.
All I'm gonna say is January 31st, upstairs, second floor, town hall, town manager's conference room. Chief Butler, in fact, 100% on both my kids, was threatened by town manager Malaguti that if he went over budget, there would be a hard decision to be made. Everybody can read between the lines. There was Taracoza was in the room. Justin was in the room. We had our Union E board was in the room. I swear on everything that threat was 1,000% made. So you were not in the room as the union president.
He's talking about January 31st. I'm under the impression that the conversation was directed at the most recent chain of events. I don't know about last year because I wasn't there last year. Thank you. Are you guys good with that? You good? Good?
Thank you. Anyone else?
Tony DeFrancesco, One Cheshire Court. I want to talk about puppies. So I will tell you that seems to me, and I've been here 46 years now, 46 going on 47 years, and I was an adult. Some would argue with that most of those years. The fact is, it seems to me, and I could be wrong, but ever since we went to SB2, we've had problems with overtime budgets. For all of these folks sitting in the front row to my left, you're right. There comes a time when we have to stop making budgets that get people reelected. The time has come to stop kicking the can down the road and make realistic budgets that work. We hire people and we pay them a lot of money to manage departments, but yet we don't give them the financial resources to be able to do that. That's one person's opinion after 46 years and hearing the same thing over and over and over again. Please do what you can to fix it. I've spent the entire 46 years trying to stay out of situations like this. I've spent all that time refusing to talk when there was personnel issues. And I am not talking about personnel issues I'm talking about financial issues. I will also tell you that for anybody that's watching on TV or anybody that's listening, there is the charter of the town of Londonderry that answers almost every question that you wanted to have answered. And on top of that, the state RSAs, which piggyback with the charter of the town of Londonderry on the rules and regulations. It's actually RSA title, the Title III RSAs, talking about governing of towns. I will tell you that when you read these documents, you can find that there is a way out of this mess. Find it. It's there. If you can't find it, call me. Now, the fact is, as you read through this, you can see it's clearly defined in here that the town manager, by state statute and the charter of the town of Londonderry, hires, fires, and manages people. The town council manages the town manager. Please manage quieter. We don't need to be on Channel 7 News, as was talked about earlier. This is a big embarrassment for all of us. All of us have egg on our faces. Nobody wins. Some are bigger losers than others, but we're all losers on this. Please manage quieter, and please fix the budgets. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we is it all right with you? What I would like to do is let everyone else go before we have someone come up. Thank you. Anyone else?
Absolutely.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to make people aware of, and I respect Kim Bernard, Chief Bernard. He's a great guy. Kim Bernard told you on this mic, recorded at home, that if you go over budget, you're what? Fired. You're gone. Okay? So, what does that tell you? Now, want to ask Sean, you weren't there, and I'm not going to address you, Town Councilor, Chairman, because I've lost respect for you. You haven't been, in my opinion, and it was brought out at the last council meeting, that you didn't talk to your other councilors about a very serious manner. So I am going to address Ted Coombs. And I want people to realize March is voting, and if you don't like them, get them out. You want it, you're going to get it. Sean, could I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry that you couldn't make the last meeting. Ted, is it okay if I address?
Of course.
Thank you. I need to know, did you know anything about the letter that the manager of the town sent to Bo Butler?
I did not.
Okay. So, we have 3 council members about a department head that received a letter, and it's on the other tape if you want to read it, for 5-day suspension that's had a clean record. 3 councilors. The 4th councilor, who isn't here tonight, didn't find out until 5 hours before. Were you hiding it from him? Were you trying to get your ego to, I'm going to call the shots? What happened here? Where is the honesty? Where's the transparency? I've had battles with Esposito and Ms. Perez sometimes. But you know something? When they're right, they're right. And you know, they're right. And you're wrong. And the threat about going over a budget, it was confirmed by your police chief. Chief Butler didn't always follow the rules when it came to what do you want me to say? What do you want me to hear? The town manager, he's the one that's supposedly operating the town. He wants to bring development in, and you know something? Our fire chief spoke the truth about the hospital that wanted to go up at the airport. And you know something? He didn't like it. And there's the politics. There's the politics, gentlemen. He didn't like it, so what did he do? Do you know? Did human resources know about the budget or about the letter that Mike Malaguti, the town manager, no secret, sent to Bo? Did our town attorney look it over? I know what the answers are. The answers are no. Shame on you, Mr. Chairman. There's a management problem in this town. And it needs to be fixed. And it stinks from the head down. That goes for you, and that goes for you. There is no confidence whatsoever that I have, and I think a lot of the people in this town have, for you and for you. And I suggest you start looking for another job.
One minute. I just wanted to clarify a comment that because of Chief Bernard's comment up here, which was very well received and articulate, whether it's Mr. Wally or it's Chief Bernard or it's Chief Butler, they all need to be equally funded and correctly funded. What I heard tonight was the chief, quite responsibly, had to sacrifice training because mission first. He shouldn't be in that position. Where do we live? Hospitals are going in. We've got the airport. We've got all this development going on. Londonderry, New Hampshire's public safety chief, and I include public works in that, our public safety department shouldn't be making these sacrifices. They just shouldn't. They just, in no way, shape, or form, should he be coming up here and articulately saying that he's had to make some changes because, I don't know why, because one of his guys got hurt going through a door? What's going to happen when a snowplow breaks down? We're not going to plow the street? Of course not. This guy's going to make sure it gets done. This is Londonderry, New Hampshire. This isn't some backwoods town where people leave in the house to go to the bathroom. There's plenty of development here. There's plenty of tax dollars. Just adjust it. But that enrages me. Because when I call 911, I expect these guys are going to show up properly funded, with good morale, with good training, feeling good support, which I know he gives them 24/7. I'm not questioning him at all. But does he have all the tools he needs? Probably not. And does the highway department? Probably not. Who does? I mean, get the abacus out. Rework the math. It's a problem. It's a problem. All this development that's going in, listen, I'm just a kid from Boston. There'd be a hell of a lot of mitigation going on in this town if it was down in Boston. It'd be a hell of a lot. General contractor coming in, they'd be building a new police station for somebody as part of that project and calling it mitigation or community service dollars. What are we doing? What are we doing here? No public safety chief in this town should be making any sacrifices at the department level that either the citizens are going to pay for or the safety of their members. That can't happen. So step up and make sure it doesn't happen. Because people have had enough. But that's enraging to even hear that. Can't happen. This is Londonderry, New Hampshire. This is not the ghetto. Fix it during the budget season. And if he needs more help, add 10 cops to it or add 5 more school resource officers. Does anybody really think we're going to, I want to keep some money in my pocket, so why don't we just pull staffing, which he would never do, pull staffing from an elementary school? Do you think people think like this? Nobody thinks like this in this town. That's why they move here. That's it.
Anybody else? No? All right. So excited to be last.
Good evening.
Thanks, Gene. Appreciate that. Give me a second. Sorry. So, good evening. My name is Brian Young. I reside at 14 Fieldstone Drive in Londonderry. I also come to you tonight speaking on behalf of the members of Local 3160 as their vice president. I have 50 members in my local, and I'm sure everybody in this room has noticed we have approximately 40 people standing outside in the hallway waiting to hear what happens at this meeting. So, first and foremost, I would like to ensure the citizens and visitors to the town of Londonderry that we are honored to be able to respond, to assist you when you need help. And regardless of what is going on here, we will continue to respond to every emergency and every call for service with the utmost of professionalism, because that is our job, and that is what we have committed to do. So, we've heard a lot of support tonight, and I want to say thank you to every single person that's here, every single taxpayer that's gotten the nerve up to stand up here, because this is intimidating. It's super fun, too. So, on March 12th, 2024, the town of Londonderry held its annual voting. Article 15 was the warrant article that we were all here speaking about. There was 2,784 votes for and 1,426 votes against. That was for a total of 7.7 cents per thousand added on to the tax rate, to a total of $495,000 to bring up the department to 13 members per battalion. Now, the verbiage of the warrant article, I believe, contains the word intent. The intent is to bring it up to 13 per battalion. Those members didn't start until September 16th of 2024. So that's 2.5 months that those salaries were not used. So there's a little bit of money. Also, firefighter Carrier retired in August of 2024. There's another month of salary that needs to be used. We have a member out on workers' comp. Now, I believe that the town gets reimbursement from Primex for his salary. There's some more money that can be used. So there's some solutions, not just a problem, but some solutions to this problem. Now, if we want to get into comparing for things, because I know that the town manager feels like he needs to be fiscally responsible, which I appreciate because I am a taxpayer, the overall budget was supported in the lesser figure by 2,812 votes to 1,395 votes. The difference between the default budget and the lesser funded budget was $41,824. Now, these taxpayers behind me that are showing support because they felt like they stood behind a cause and they felt like their safety was important, realized that over here in this budget, this is a good number for us, but we want to be at 13 members per battalion because that's what's important. It's their safety. It's my safety. It's my ability to go see my kids. So a little history lesson because Chief Bernard, preached a little bit, so I'm going to preach a little bit too. NFPA 1710 recommends that we get 15 firefighters to a residential house fire within 8 minutes. For the most part, the town of Londonderry can do that with 12 firefighters in about 8 minutes. Geographically, it's a little challenging. We use a little bit of automatic aid to fill in the gap, but it's still something. So we think, and I think it's a great idea, and I'd like to see this at least talked about at the next meeting, maybe as an agenda item so we can get some answers to some questions. One, what is the town manager's plan to get the department up to 13 members per battalion within this current fiscal year? I think that's important, and I think that we're owed an answer to that question. Two, maybe he should find the money for a study to see what the fire department and the police department should be staffed at for a community of this size with the risk hazards that we have. What are we going to do when 30 Main Street catches on fire or the Baldwins catches on fire? I can tell you that NFPA 1710 says it's a much bigger number than 15 that needs to be there to mitigate that problem. So I want to see answers to these questions. Now, some long-term solutions, because we're about problem solving, not about just pointing out the problems or arguing on Facebook. New Hampshire Revised Statute 31:95-H allows for the creation of a revolving account for the fire department. There's a lot more legal mumbo-jumbo in there that I am not qualified to talk about. However, this might be something that instead of taking and putting our ambulance revenue into the general fund, maybe that's something we put in to replace the apparatus. The other question that came up in some of the discussions I've had recently is creating a town-wide sick bank, if you will. So that way, when one of our departments, fire department, the police department, we get hit with a catastrophic staffing shortage, such as somebody being deployed, somebody being hurt and out for a long time, somebody suffering from cancer, maybe we should put some money into that account so it goes in the default budget. It's not the fire department's problem. It's not the police department's problem. It's the town supporting our own. Some solutions to problems. So, most importantly, we're up here trying to find solutions, not just point out problems. But one of the solutions is to honor the will of the taxpayers and show them that what they asked for is important. And show that you honor the 50 members of Local 3160 and you respect their service. And hopefully, we can find a solution. I look forward to seeing you guys again in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair. So Justin and I spent about 3-4 hours on Friday going over a lot of the different financial issues and different avenues, how we can try and combat the funding issues. And generally, yes, a lot of the issues go back to the SB2, as the chief had mentioned earlier. And thank you, Brian, for bringing up different kind of solutions. And we need to go through the next 2 months to develop how can we develop the right path forward so we can hopefully fix not just today, but the next 10, 20, 30 years so that we don't keep coming into this financial issue that we are at right now with funding not just for the fire department, but for all the departments across the board. And, you know, whether it be a trust fund, an expendable maintenance trust fund, or another fund that we can potentially find that works with the state laws. And certainly with how the different RSAs work and with DRA, sometimes they can be a little tricky to work in the right way. And so I think part of the issue as well is that the chief brought up is we are very limited with our form of government. And when we are set with a certain budget that we pass, unfortunately, we are stuck at that number. And we can't just pull money out of the undesignated fund balance unless we go to a federal judge and ask for emergency funding from our UFB in the middle of the year. We can't just pull the money out. That's not how it works, unfortunately. So I think we need to look at some different solutions and do some different brainstorming and work with the state upon what is the right mechanism so that we can move forward over the next 2 to 3 months before we go to the next election in March.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else before I close public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
if I may.
Okay.
So there were a couple things. I wasn't here, unfortunately, last time. I was trying to take a vacation with this stuff, and then I'd heard about Bo on vacation, and that immediately brought my mind back to here. I watched that video, watched everyone's comments. I mean, there's one thing that's crystal clear. You know, Bo Butler is a hero. That guy, I mean, you just talk to him, and he absolutely puts his heart on the line. I know there's not a person in here at the fire department that would not say the same thing. You cannot meet that man and talk to him. He comes from a great family. They have strong roots in this community, and absolutely, he is a hero. I don't want that to interfere with any of the rest of this. Now, when it comes to managing budgets, the question was asked, and you had asked the question, you know, what did we vote for? Did this get put in? So in the same, because I checked out all this stuff, because again, not aware until we got back. I quickly had to get up to speed on what this situation is a couple days behind it. The same mechanism that every warrant article votes for went through. That money was put in the budget. Was it the right size and the right amount when it was put on the ballot? That may not have been. And that's one of the things where I hate how we play politics. People say in this room, I hate politics. I hate politics. Sitting up here. It's stupid. But when you get something where you have a warrant article, and I've seen these tricks before I got up here, and I guess I'll see some of these in the budget season, and I don't want to see it, is let's make that number low enough so the voters vote for it. But is it enough? How can this community honestly vote for firefighters without the right amount attached to it? And then we get in this situation where, well, do we not have enough? Do we have enough? Which do we vote for? Maybe some people voted for the amount. Maybe some people voted. We get into this, and it's a mess, and it shouldn't be a mess. But the next part was, will this community be covered? Are there citizens in danger? People come into this room, and you know, I'm sure there's some people that have got concerns on their mind, like, are we going to be taken care of? And I'm glad, you know, Ryan spoke up here. No, our fire department will take care of this community. This community is covered, and people don't have anything to worry about. And it's going to get taken care of. They're professionals. They work at that. The other part that I hate about this whole situation, anything inevitably becomes political. And that's a shame when it comes to stuff like this. And that's where I don't want Bo's struggling with this, for his commitment to his people, to get mixed up in dollars and cents. And now we've moved on to that portion of it. And I really don't like that got mixed up in this. Inevitably, money gets mixed up, emotion gets mixed up, and we need to do the right thing for this. I went and I checked on the budget to make sure the mechanisms are there, because if we have another fire chief, are we going to run into this situation? We have ways, and Chief Bernard, and I've talked to him about this, and he knows how to manage this and get this through. And we can work with, whoever sits in that chair, we can work with them to get this through to make sure that this problem does not happen. We're going to get on top of this. We don't direct personnel per charter. We don't direct department heads. So that's also part of the being unaware. I hate that. I hate that in my job, being unaware of things. But we're going to get on top of this. We'll do the best I can. If you have questions about the budget, you want to get specifics. Nobody really wants to get in specifics. I know that. But if you want to go over the numbers, give me a call. This is something that's concerning. Let's just get the facts through it. Let's walk it through it. You can dismiss me as a dirty politician making a speech, but I'm honestly just trying to tell you the best I can so we can get through this as a community together. Budget season's coming up in a couple weeks, so just hang in there. This is a rough situation. We're going to get through this as a town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right.
Can we have Bo Butler back as our chief?
We're not here to discuss that tonight. So,
No.
there's a lot of things said tonight. A lot of good points. Some great points. A lot of ideas. A lot of collaboration. A lot of support. A lot of love. A lot of passion. A lot of fire. No pun intended. I appreciate it. I appreciated the targeted comments. I appreciated the support for Bo. I'm committed, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the council, I'm committed to doing what's right. We have a process for a reason. We have a process we have to follow. I want to follow that process. Regardless of how we feel, November 2nd is when we start our process. And I ask you to come and help us collaborate so we can follow that process. Because yes, your vote matters. Your opinion matters. Your ideas matter. And it's not about me. It's not thrown out. We all heard you. We heard every single comment that everyone said. And it matters.
Can you answer to me how it got dispersed then?
I don't understand your question.
If we voted it in and now all this happened, I just want to know why the vote didn't count. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking on behalf of
So-
everybody in here agrees with what I'm saying. I just want to know if we all go to vote again and everybody wants to vote everybody out of these seats, is that gonna hold?
Yes. Justin, I'm going to have our finance director address that question because he is the expert on it.
I would love it.
Thank you.
So in the operating budget, we had budgeted for 43 firefighters. The additional firefighters from the Warren article would bring us 13, would put us at 4. Right now, we currently have 47 budgeted firefighter positions, and 46 of which are filled. The one that is currently not is the firefighter that retired in August, which from my discussions with fire administration will be filled in December. So they're there, they're hired, they're on board. There's one that we're missing currently.
Okay, so you guys have a plan to put somebody else in there.
From my understanding, that individual is currently going through the process, and we should have them on board December, January. I can't speak to that. I'm not.
Right, because we don't know what's going to happen by then. Anything
Correct.
could happen.
Come on.
Can we?
Sorry, it's not my mic.
Can we?
So-
Brian, before.
Okay.
I'm fine with allowing Brian to talk. I just don't want to get in a back and forth.
No, I just have a very quick question. So you said your budgeting was for 43 firefighters prior to, and then adding 4 more puts us to 47, correct?
Correct.
What is 13 times 4?
I know, it's 48.
Okay. So, but that's one short of 47.
Can we please?
So please,
I'm glad you
enlighten me,
asked.
please, because I'd like to know how 13 times 4 doesn't actually get us 13 times 4.
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked.
Can we please keep the crosstalk in the room down, please? Thank you.
So the fire administration had determined that, if you remember previously, you had one chief.
Correct.
Currently, how many do you have?
2.
So previously, no, currently, sorry.
All right.
Including Bo, how many do you have?
We have 1 fire chief, 1 assistant chief, 1 deputy chief.
Correct. So there's 3.
Yep.
Previously, it was determined that a second deputy chief was required and
Okay.
needed temporarily. When Bo took over, he made the determination that that position needed to stay. Initially, that position was supposed to drop back down to a firefighter and a part-time administrative assistant to help with the administrative work. I believe that the fire administration knows how to manage the fire budget better, not fire budget, fire personnel better than I would, so we defaulted to his understanding on that. I wrote the warrant article on purpose so that way, should we have the ability to add the funds to get you back that person, with the approval of the town council, we would be able to.
Okay.
So that was the intent. That's why it's 13. It doesn't specifically state 4.
Perfect. Can we get the town's attorney interpretation on the warrant article to make sure that the math is square? Because
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, the 13 per battalion, that doesn't reference anything in administration. And to the town managers.
I guess the other question I have is why does the deputy chief not count towards the
Gentlemen.
So just, and
Gentlemen.
Okay, that's fair. It was a legitimate question.
2 seconds.
That was turned into one of the deputy chief positions.
So, and then to the town manager's point, that in his rebuttal, if you will, he posted that we have 1 fire chief, 1 assistant chief, and 2 deputy chiefs.
1 deputy chief.
That's not what his post.
okay.
So, I would like some clarification, please, from a taxpayer standpoint and from a member of Local 3160 about how we're going to get to the 13 members per battalion, as well as keep the administration that the town manager says that we have. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Shall we move on?